Everything old is new again. America's entertainment pop culture talk show.
It may well possess a rudimentary intelligence.
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Felt a great disturbance in the force.
Hello, I'm Mr. Red.
Come on, bark like a dog for me.
Where's the goodies? Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
I bet you wouldn't have done anything like this if Mom and Dad were here.
You filthy criminal.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Here are your hosts, Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Welcome to Everything Old is New Again. Yes, Douglas Viviani here with why do I say this? With our very own treasure himself, David Cohen.
Oh, that's very sweet of you, Doug. Thank you.
How do you like that? I was going to say buried treasure, but it wouldn't sound as nice. But really, what we're trying to do...
The old honeymooners reference, right?
Exactly. What we're trying to do here is continue. We have no choice. I did the research. I've got a lot of stuff to talk about collectibles. Last week, we got sidetracked with a little story there about Jimmy Hoffa's finger, allegedly.
A little story.
Yeah.
That was a huge story.
How did that go?
That was a great show. If you haven't listened to that show, you got to listen to it.
Yeah. It's out of order. It's show 358. If you're looking in the old podcast, networks, any of those networks, look at 358 Collectibles in one. And you hear a story about me as a kid, sort of getting my toe wet into the world of reality versus kiddom and all the fun that entails. Does that make sense?
Some friend of yours showed you what allegedly was Jimmy Hoffa's pinky in a box.
Exactly.
In a coffee can. That's what happened.
And changed me forever.
There's resolution to it. So that's that. It's you got to listen to it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So
is this? Are we talking any more like severed fingers or heads or what is today's show?
We're trying to bring the train. It was derailed. Let's get back on track. I'm going to try to get us down the road of collectibles again. The whole point was to talk about collectibles and autographs and why people collect autographs. Are autographs any good? Should you collect autographs? And other things. Let's expand upon that. There's lots of stuff people collect. Obviously, we just heard a little bit about that, from a signed baseball to a human finger.
To a finger.
And anything in between. So why do people collect? What's it all about? Let's just finish up a little bit on autographs, because I have a lot of autographs. I've collected a lot of autographs. Why have I done it?
I've been to your house and I've seen those autographs. It's a bit obsessive, but really cool. Very cool collection.
And since I've gotten married, the only collection of autographs that I've increased upon are the Star Treks. As I go to the Star Trek conventions and I get an autograph at a convention, or if I go to a Broadway show, which has been a long time, I'll wait and as the actors come out, they'll sign, a playbill or what have you. Okay? So, and we were talking about in the last show how McCartney and Ringo and so forth, people aren't doing that anymore. They'll take pictures, but they're not doing autographs anymore. And so what's the fascination? To me, the thought is this. For an autograph to have any value, number one, or any collectible, it has to have long-lasting effect. It has to be someone like a Babe Ruth or a historical figure that generations of people will know who that is, right? Otherwise, it has no value. Except if you've got such a situation where it has meaning to you, then of course it has value, right? So my initial collecting of autographs were going through yard sales in the 80s and 90s, and having people's effects, let's say, that have passed away, but they were born in like 1900. So during the 40s and 50s, autograph books were very big. Like they would have a book of like index card sized pieces of paper. So at yard sales back in the day, you can't do it anymore. You could buy autographs at that point, whether they're real or not, who knew, but they were in these autograph books. And I did that. I got Abbott Costello. I got, the Rat Pack. I've got some amazing autographs. Then I said, you know what, why am I'm going to, it's cool because these people have passed away and I can't get their autographs, but it wasn't that wonderful. So then I went down the road of, let me collect my own. So I love Radio Mystery Theater. There's a ton of actors in Radio Mystery Theater. I sent away and mailed out to get autographs for Hyman Brown and many other people involved in that.
I see. So your interest changed from getting autographs of dead people to getting autographs of people who are still alive.
I guess you could say that, yes, but at least something that I had some input in actually obtaining.
Some connection to.
Right. And then it evolved into, that's great and everything, but unless or until I actually meet the person, who cares? Because to me, it's a memory of meeting that person. Because when I meet them to sign the autograph, I always say something bizarre or different or awkward and try to get a reaction out of them, right? So the autograph kind of brings that back. And, oh, yes, when I got that, this is what I said to this person, whatever. But never to buy or to sell autographs. Never to do it to make a profit.
Like a business.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. And there are people that do that. So anyway, so that's my aspect of it. That's my thought about it. Steve Martin has one, and I looked it up. It's so interesting. His point of view on the other side of the fence is that I'm just not going to sign autographs, although he does now. But I'm not going to sign autographs. It's a drag. He gives out a card. Have you heard this?
No.
I have a copy of the card. I'll show it to you. You know, we're on Zoom. You could probably, I don't know if you can see it or not. It might be backwards, but I'll read it.
This certifies that you have had a personal encounter with me and that you have found me warm, polite, intelligent, and funny. Signed, Steve Martin.
There you go. So funny. That's how he solved the problem, especially the time-wise, right? They're all signed, and he'd hand these out, and that would be that. So that's kind of cool. Other than that, other than meeting the person, does it really have any significance?
Did you actually get that from Steve Martin?
No,
himself?
I did not. I looked that up on the computer. I wish I did. That kind of would have been fun. Should I have fibbed about that? But no, it was no fun.
No, I appreciate your honesty. It looked real over Zoom.
Right.
I couldn't tell.
Another way people have gotten autographs, and we've talked about this before. For example, we've talked about specifically about Joe DiMaggio and how Joe DiMaggio would not give an autograph unless he was being paid for it. Which in this day and age I can understand. He was one of the first ones to ever do that. But before then, before all that stuff happened, I have a check here from 1981, a copy of a check to, who's it to? Like a hotel, where he stayed in a hotel and he used a check to pay for the hotel. And
cool. And the name of the company is Yankee Clipper Enterprises. Yankee Clipper was his nickname. So move it down a little bit. Let me see his signature. That's the only thing I don't see. Joseph. Now to your right a little bit.
There you go.
Joseph DiMaggio on the check. Wow, that's cool.
Isn't that cool?
Very cool.
So I don't own that. That's on Wikipedia too. But that's kind of
I thought you had it.
No, I don't.
Oh man.
But that's very cool. Not Wikipedia, whatever. The computer, I picked it up on wherever. And that is, lots of people have his autograph that way before he wisened up and didn't what would you say? He told people, I'm going to pay for this. It's worth X amount of dollars, so don't ask me for an autograph on the side. How about that?
Okay.
Now, let's talk about historical figures, because that's really where, if you're going to collect, that's where it counts. I have here, and it's not mine, a check drawn on the Bank of the United States, 1795.
That's not the dollar amount. That's the year?
That's the year.
Okay.
It's for $2,693, which had to be a lot of money back in the day.
It's got to be like $2 million today or so.
You'll never make out who signed it.
And you printed this off the internet as well?
Yes.
All right. So again, lift it up a little higher.
There you go.
And no, I can't make that out.
Okay. Yeah, it's a bad autograph. George Washington. Now, now wouldn't that? Now, to me, that would have such significance to actually have that check.
So they had banks and checks.
They only had one bank, the Bank of the United States is all they had. And this is after the Revolution, of course, 1795.
I also heard that check bounced. He was slightly embarrassed by it. But
they held it. They taped it up in the local grocery store, right?
Yeah, the concept of overcharge protection hadn't come into play yet.
But
wow, okay.
So to me, that's a collectible and a half. No,
a collectible and a half.
What would you pay for something like that? You don't know. Let me show you one last thing that I think is very cool, and then we'll move on to other more interesting topics. The laws of the United States back in 1803 was published. The President of the United States at the time was Thomas Jefferson. What about a book that Thomas Jefferson used and referred to and make notes into and actually wrote about his thoughts about the Louisiana Purchase into? Would you want that? Here's a picture of the books.
What I wanted personally?
With Thomas
Not really.
Jefferson's handwriting in there. Thomas Jefferson looked at. Don't care,
Not
huh?
really.
Someone does, because it was just sold recently. What do you think someone, I know that's not, I don't really want to go about prices, but what do you think someone paid for that?
$17.95.
No.
No?
Not George Washington's check either, 2000 whatever. It wasn't George Washington buying it.
I'm sure it was some ridiculous amount of money.
$245,000.
Wow.
So if you have something like that passed down through generations, that can put someone through college or something like that. I mean, there are
Okay, so let's say you had that, right? Let's say you had it. It was handed down through generations, and you knew you can get $240,000 for it and put your kid through college. Would you sell it and put your kid through college?
We'll answer that question when we
Wow, I really stumped you on that one.
When we return, we'll answer that question. Everything else new again.
We all supported the concept that it could be something fresh, it could be something special, it could be something different. It could be done right. It could be done meaningfully. We are very, very proud of the fact that so many of the episodes captured so many of those important elements, and that you were there to help support us, to let us know that you were picking up on the things that were happening in the show.
It's just the happiest day of my entire life. I never expected to see him. I can't help it.
The poor girl in 1972.
Was that Leonard Nimoy?
Yes, at the 1972 first Star Trek convention, and that girl was freaking out. It was so funny.
Over Leonard Nimoy?
Yeah, how about that, Mr. Spock?
Okay.
At the height of his popularity, in fact, they were off the air for a couple of years there, so people are kind of freaking, like, never going to see him again, you know? So, well, that brings to mind, just for a moment, before I answer your question from the last section, collectibles. To me, they could take all forms. What if you recorded that? What if you were at that convention and recorded that? Isn't that some sort of a collectible for you of, recording Leonard Nimoy speaking at a convention? I mean,
yeah, if Leonard Nimoy was important to me and I caught his voice, in that at the height of his popularity, sure, it would mean something to me.
So what are we trying to do with these collectibles? Are we trying to preserve some of our past? Are we trying to grab some fame? Are we trying to make ourselves stand out? Why do we collect if we do?
I don't know. Maybe it's because we're impressed with people who've made significant contributions to the world and maybe to us personally, and the fact that we've captured something real, something that was part of them is I don't know, bringing us joy or adding something to our lives.
Yeah, it makes us part of the story in some way, or we infuse ourselves into the story, so to speak, of that person's life, fame, success, right?
Right. If there's someone who's important in your life and who made a significant contribution to you, like I would love, I know famous people, if I had something that they wrote or some personal item or something, it would be cool to have. Yeah, I would probably have it. I would look at it occasionally. It would be cool to know that, it's here in my house. And yeah, would I pay $250,000 for it? Probably not, but...
Everything has a price, but you're exactly right. So my question is this, or answer to the question is this. Thomas Jefferson's book that he wrote into and had historical significance versus sending my child to college basically for free for selling that book for $250,000. I'm selling that book because it doesn't have, to me, a significance. I haven't touched that. That person didn't touch me personally, just in particular.
What if it was a private conversation that was recorded between William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy discussing an upcoming taping of a Star Trek episode and their thoughts back and forth? And let's say that you knew you could sell that for $250,000. Would you sell that?
I'd sell that in a minute unless they were mentioning my name.
Why would they be mentioning?
They wouldn't, so it has no significance to me. I would sell that in a minute.
So is there anything that would be so important to you that you would hold on to it, knowing that you could make $250,000 from selling it?
$250,000, that makes it difficult because the Babe Ruth baseball, I have had offers and will not sell. We talked about that previously. My grandfather got it and it's a part of our family history, if you will. It goes back to 1935. But I could be convinced if someone was to give me, $350,000 for that ball, yeah, you can have it. The offers are like
what was the highest offer you got?
They're
for
like
that
10
ball
to 15 grand because Babe Ruth
10
signed
to 15 grand. No way, man.
Yeah, he signed everything. So there's no way. You got to make it six figures plus for me to even turn my head for that. most everything else I own, I'd sell in a minute for the right price.
Right.
No doubt. Love collecting, but it's going to be passed along sooner or later anyway when you go. And when you see the American Pickers, it's interesting because they say this, and it's true. You can collect all this stuff that you like in the world, have the greatest collection of everything in the world. Sooner or later, when you go, the people that are close to you that are going to inherit that, they're probably, unless it's a different circumstance, but usually collections are individual and personal. They're not going to even know what the value of that item is. And so they might sell it improperly, they might sell it for a wrong price, whatever, or it doesn't have any significance to them, and they're now burdened with this problem, so to speak, as to what to do with this. So you might be better off selling it before you pass, so that it goes to somebody that really cares about whatever it is. I don't know. It's a tough choice.
That is very interesting. I have a couple of items that, I'd hoped to pass down to my son, but now that he's a man, I know he would have no interest in this stuff. So, right, that's a good question. What do you do with it?
Yeah. Right? Just like this. And I have an interesting story. Listen to this theme. Tell me if this makes any sense to you and or if you know who's singing this. First of all, have you ever heard that before?
No.
All right, so that's from something called The Amazing Spider-Man, a rock comic created and produced in 1972 that for my brother and myself, this is 1972, I was 10 and he was 12, there was no internet, there was little connection to, comics and came out once a month and so forth. So it was a whole story on a record with a panel, like a comic book panel, that you could watch while you're listening to the music, and it was music entwined with a story. And
so you held a comic book and you played an album.
You sort of held this. Here's the album. I'm going to show you the album.
I see the record album.
Okay.
Right.
And you open it up, and it's got a comic book, so to speak, in it.
Oh, built in when you open up, it's like one of those double album type of sleeve, so it opens, and then printed is the comic strips.
Right.
Interesting.
And so it tells a story and has great music. First of all, it's a very hard question. You remember the song Sugar Sugar?
I was going to say, it sounds like it reminded me of that voice.
Ron Dante?
Ron Dante, who was on our show.
Yes, we have him on show 329. If you want to listen to him, talk to us. Hall of Famer, I think. And so it means something to me. If I play that album now for my brother, and he was in the hospital, in fact, recently, and we did play it for him, and he smiled when he was in a bad way. It had a significance to us. So now I go to the Star Trek convention. What does it mean? Why am I talking about Star Trek? Well, the star of that, I guess call it a rock comic, was a young actor by the name of Rene Aubergeiras, who later on became him from many different things, but one thing I'll relate to is he was Odo in Deep Space Nine.
Wait, so who was he originally?
So relating to what we just spoke about, the rock comic, he was
the rock comic of Spider-Man.
He was the first Peter Parker.
What was it Uncle Ben used to tell me? I remember. He used to say, Petey, never forget, the stronger the man, the heavier the load. With great power comes great responsibility. I can't quit. Sane, insane, loved, hated, it doesn't matter. A man might quit, but Spider-Man is more than a man. I'm a superhero. I must fight on, no matter the personal sacrifice, because that's what being a superhero is all about. First I find Aunt May, and then I deal with the Kingpin. Let's get it on, webhead.
How about that?
So that's on the album that we were speaking. That's part of the rock opera.
Exactly. And that's the voice of Rene Aubergeiras. So I go to a convention. I bring this with me because I want to do something different. Again, I talk about the autographs. I want something different. I want him to have an experience with me for the 30 seconds he signs the autograph.
This guy Rene was going to be at the Star Trek convention.
Correct.
Because he played some Star Trek character.
Here are the tickets to the convention.
And you remembered, and you're showing me now the tickets to that Star Trek convention. That's crazy.
Right. And
so you remember that this guy was the voice of Spider-Man on that rock op. So you brought the album with you to the convention.
That's and it
to
meant
confront Rene.
Not in a nasty way, but to sort of think.
Well, depends.
This is 1972 now.
I would think that's pretty weird.
This convention's like, I don't know, 2000 and something, right? So this is like 30 plus years later. Does he remember this? Does he care about it? What is it all about? He stops. He looks at this thing because autograph sessions. Listen, man, you're one of a million people, not a million, 1,000 people getting an autograph. They're taking like 15, 30 seconds, whatever, and moving on. Right. Here's another one. Move on. More. He looks at this thing and he says, "Holy smokes! I have not seen this in 30 years. Did you know that I was the first?" He actually turns to his left and he turns to a fellow cast member. They're lined up together signing autographs.
Yeah.
He goes, "Do you know that I was the first Peter Parker? I was the first Spider-Man." And they get into a conversation with me involved, about 10 minutes, a long conversation. And he goes, I really would like one of these. This is great. He signs this. You can see it. I don't know if you
cool.
Now, he signed the bottom of it. I don't know if can you read it? Can you see what he says?
He signed it Peter Parker.
Exactly. His name, and then underneath it was Peter Parker. He was proud of it. He was like, wow, this is amazing. This is great. So I had that little interaction with him. So lo and behold.
Did you break it to him that he really wasn't the first voice of Peter Parker?
Oh, who was?
Well, remember the Spider-Man, the Marvel Spider-Man animated TV shows in the 60s?
Oh, you might be right. Oh, my gosh. You might be right. All right. I didn't know that till just now.
If that rock album was made in 72, then that was after the cartoon.
Okay. Yeah, this is interesting.
Okay.
The cartoon was the 60s.
Is good, too.
All right, so let me cut to the chase. I come back like a year later. I say, I want to make this experience memorable for him. I come back a year later, 2 years later. I bought another one of these on eBay. I go and have him sign it, and I say to him, I'm leaving this here. I'm leaving this here for you. And he stood up, shook my hand, thanked me, and could not be more thankful for me to give him this album. He didn't know where I got it from. He didn't know anything about the internet, eBay, all this. So all I'm trying to say is that even for him, who starred in this thing, he didn't have that experience of keeping this little collectible, and now it meant something significant to him. And I'm sure he forgot about me, the day after he walked out of there in some ways, what I looked like or who I was or whatever. But he did remember, holy smokes, someone brought this to me, and this means a lot. I really enjoy that. What a great collectible.
Was it at that point he issued the restraining order?
We'll be back.
After the second meeting, not after the first one.
It's been one long day.
No, there's another story later on for that.
It's time to crawl home.
Yes, hi, officer. He's now giving you gifts. So please issue a restraining order for this man.
Now, back to America's entertainment pop culture talk show. Everything old is new again with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Hi, this is Tom Dreesen. After 50 years of stand-up comedy, there's nothing I enjoy more than listening to Everything Old is New Again with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
How about that? Tom Dreesen opened up for Sinatra, opened up for Sammy Davis Jr. as a comedian, and was on Everything Old is New Again. Come on, you got to give us a little credit there. Come on. No, David Cohen's just sitting there. He doesn't even know who Tom Dreesen is. All right, listen. We're talking collectibles. We're talking just a little peek into the world of collectibles. In my world, the rule is either it has significance for generations to come, whoever this person would be that you have an autograph or whatever it might be a collectible from, or something personal to you because you're not going to resell it for a profit. It's got to mean something to you. Otherwise, what's up? Do you have any amplification of that, David Cohen, that theory?
Amplification of it? I'm not sure where you pulled that word from, but you want me to say it louder? Is that what you...
No, I want you to respond.
I totally agree. I think those are the two basic tenets of collectibles.
So I think we've made a theory here. We might be able to what would you say, copyright that and
I doubt it.
You think that
it's not brain surgery?
No,
but okay.
All right. Well, talk about brain surgery. Talk about being smart. Talk about being genius. David Cohen, Douglas Viviani were in New York City on August 5th, 1979.
Uh-oh, this is going to be embarrassing.
Do you?
I don't even know what it is, but it's going to be embarrassing. Or else he would not be telling it.
Correct. We've mentioned this in like show 10, so this is like 500 shows later or something for it, and I've got to mention it again. We don't have to go into it in detail if you don't want to, but first and foremost, I don't know how this happened because I do not collect and save tickets to events that I go to. Many people do. Do you do that?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, when I was a kid, I did, so I probably have some really old ticket stubs.
What do I have here?
It must be Beatlemania, because that's what we went to see, right?
Beatlemania ticket. By the way, we sat in row X. We really bought the good seats. We were in row X. I remember we were behind the mixing board. I can remember this.
We were in the lobby. We could hear it through the doors.
They opened the window up for us. They'll peek through. We were at the Palace Theater. Sunday, August 5th, 1979, we brought about 10 high school friends of ours. We were, 17 years old, and we went in to see Beatlemania. By the way, one of the most memorable Broadway experiences of my life, maybe because it was one of the first, but also, of course, the Beatles, and also the way it was done. Wasn't it an amazing show? I mean, do you remember
Yeah, it was the original cast, right? So it was a good show.
We think it was the original cast. We're going to see. But I also do not collect, and others do, playbills. What do I have here?
Oh, you have the playbill.
I have the playbill.
That's pretty cool.
Isn't that amazing? It's something.
Well, if you look at the cast,
that's what I'm going to do.
See. Yeah.
Mark Vaccaro was the rhythm guitar, which is John Lennon. Alan LeBeau, or LeBeouf, B-E-A-B-O-E-U-F, was the bass guitar. Tom Teely was the lead guitar, George Harrison, and then there was Bennett Gale on the drums. I'm not sure any of them. None of them are household names. I'm not sure if they were. I would say that I know that Paul McCartney's not the original.
Well, you could probably just Google it.
We should look it up. But here it is. I have the whole thing. So it's significant to me to keep this. And there's an associated story, if you want to go into it or not, as to what happened to you on the way to Beatlemania and how it.
That's not a collectible topic, though.
No,
right. We don't have to rehash
all
that.
All collectibles have stories that have, meaning that kind of go with
it's not a proud moment in my life. I was just a kid. Very gullible kid.
It was so fun. You were wearing the tightest freaking jeans. I remember you had your money. You could barely get your hand in your pocket to get your money out of those jeans. The Jordache jeans.
The Jordache, yeah.
I remember you digging into that pocket to feed that.
I was convinced I was going to win money.
It's a whole other story, but there was a guy at the side of the street in the way. And
I got suckered into a 3-card Monte game. All right, I was 17. I didn't know what I was doing. I lost $20, which back then was a lot of money.
It sure was. It may have been
and then I was shamed by all my friends.
I never shamed you.
How could you do that? How could you? You lost $20? That's not even your money. That's probably your parents' money. I mean, they were really leaning into me.
Yeah. I do remember. Terrible. I also think we had to get lunch maybe before it or something. And I do remember lending you $10, which I think is the reason why you're on.
Left.
Yeah, I think you're on the show now because rather than pay me that $10 back, you're paying back.
I fulfilled my obligation
exactly
by doing the show for 37 years.
Exactly.
Am I are we even now?
All right. So now, speaking of the Beatles, because you mentioned that if there was someone. Or some paraphernalia of someone that had significance to you, that you feel that you would collect, even the I'll say jaded, so to speak, David Cohen, or the realistic gentleman that you are. You're not pie in the sky. You're not someone that's celebrity like goo right? You're kind of down to earth. If I told you that I could get you from 1965, circa 65, with a letter of provenance, which explains where this came from and that it is legit. John Lennon's glasses, would you want them?
Sure.
How much, I have to do this because it's just so fun, how much do you think they're listed at to purchase?
It's got to be at least $100,000.
Like, isn't it crazy? Like, how do you get these numbers? Like, it's so arbitrary, isn't it? It's so.
I know it is arbitrary.
That's why I'm fascinated by these kind of numbers, because it's like where do you get?
I mean, it's arbitrary, but I'm sure it's based on other similar type items and what they have sold for. So, I mean, it has some basis in what can be market value, a realistic market value, I'm sure.
And you have to understand that this is an item that probably, I'm going to say one of a kind, but he probably had lots of glasses. But, he in some way,
just be clear, these are not the iconic glasses that he wore.
Yes.
That, those wire rim. These are what?
Oh, these are 1965. These are the black ones.
Yeah, that he didn't really wear in public.
Right. Which makes it more or less, I don't know, more or less iconic.
So how much does it go for?
$75,000.
I wasn't too far off.
I'm not sure I would sell it for $75,000 if I had it. Would you? Like we talked about other things, that I would keep for that number.
Definitely.
And do you think a John Lennon will be generational, like a Babe Ruth? Do you think your son's children or grandchildren will know who he is, and if it was in the house, care about it, or would they throw it out?
I think so. I think so. I think the Beatles as a group probably will be like you and I knew, we've heard of Beethoven and those, composers from long ago. I think that's what the Beatles' legacy will be.
I agree. And so therefore, you can look it up. I'm not going to go through this, but you could look it up. There are autographs all over the net. You got to be careful. You've got to be careful and make sure that these are legit. But you could buy Beatles autographs anywhere from $16,000 to $30,000 to have all four Beatles together, signed together. Now, here's what I did. Leo wanted the Beatles autographs for Christmas. I had to ask Santa Claus to get him the Beatles autographs on a photo. What do you think I did?
You forged the signatures.
No, that's the one thing people would do. They are selling reproductions of this $30,000 picture with all the autographs. So Santa Claus purchased one of those and had those delivered to the house. I have yet to tell him one way or the other whether they're the original signatures. Do I tell him? And of course I have to tell him.
But he obviously believes
he treasures them. He didn't even question it. Poor guy. So I think I made a real big mistake there by not telling him.
This
it's just a serious.
This reminds me of the Halloween story with you and Leo when you took him through that House of Horrors, and we heard the audio of it.
Yeah, he's going to be on the couch. Someone's going to be.
No, you have to tell him they're not real.
I definitely have to tell him they're not real, but he's just.
I mean, someday he's going to find out. Right?
I'm not trying to hide it. He just never asked. I don't think he's aware of. Well, he's 9 years old. Are you aware of forgeries, or are you aware of copies? Like, he just thinks, Santa got me the original.
Just because he didn't ask if they're real doesn't mean. Of course, he thinks they're real.
You think the thought crossed his mind? Yeah, of course he thinks they're real.
The thought never crossed his mind that they may not be real. Santa gave it to him, right? He believes in Santa.
Yeah,
and if Santa's giving you the Beatles autographs, it doesn't even enter his mind that they're fake.
Yeah, I got to get there. I have to get there. Like,
when is this whole Santa?
That's what I'm saying. When that disappears, I'll say circa age 15. I know I'm saying it late, but let's just say that
15,
probably 13.
13? Doug, come on, man. Santa?
Yeah, I'm going to go there with it.
How old is Leo?
He's 9. He's got a couple years.
It's time, Doug. It's time. I think that was the last hurrah for Santa.
Yeah.
The forged signatures.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. It's not good. This is the parenting skills. I'm doing the best I can. That's all I can tell you.
I don't think you are. I don't think you are.
And I'm going to give you a little billboard here. You ready? I want you to think about, between now and the next commercial break, what scientists publishing or work, handwritten manuscript is worth $253,000, and or what book is worth $225,000 you may have in your bookshelf. We're back in the old
scientists. I mean, that's such a broad.
Oh, it's loud. We'll be back here after this.
This is Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
This is Anson Mount, and you're listening to Everything Old is New Again with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Another series of Star Trek references here on Everything Old is New Again. Back with the treasurer himself, David Cohen. We left off with a question. What was that question? You didn't like the scientist phraseology of this question I had for you.
Just why don't you pose the questions again in case for those of listeners who are just tuning in now.
So about collectibles, I want to know what mathematician, I'll go specific now, okay? Mathematician, physicist, astronomer, theologian, and author from the 16 and 1700s.
Isaac Newton.
Whoa! Did you
really?
What? Yes.
Cool.
How did you get that?
Well, when you said mathematician, and that gave it away for me.
All right. Well, listen, I could tell you this. In 1936, this is 1936 price that's converted to today's prices. This manuscript of something that I can't read, it's another language, so I don't know what exactly it is because he spoke another language. But it's his treatise.
Isaac Newton didn't.
Well, why is it? It's listed in another language. I don't know what's going on here. But the long story short is
probably because it's a forgery. But okay,
no, it's taken sempit. No, I think he did this in Latin. I think he wrote this in Latin. $253,000 for this piece of paper
for Isaac Newton's manuscript.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it's a huge individual in the world of what would you say? Science would be the best thing to say, right? So,
sure.
Now, you might have this book, David Cohen. When you hang up or you get off of this phone, this radio show, you are going to, I know you will, all of us have to, go to our bookshelves. We have one of these books. Okay. You all, I know, have a copy of this book on your shelves. Now, do you have the original is the question. Because if you have,
can you give us a hint?
I will. If you have that I can hear. If you have the original book that was published in 1997, not so long ago, there were only, now this is the first printing, there were only in one moment, only 500 copies, the son of a gun, 500 copies of the first printing were published. So there are 500 of these that are worth $225,000. David Cohen, your guess is?
Harry Potter?
Which one?
Oh, I don't know. The first one?
Correct, and the Philosopher's Stone. So now, I think
I'm hot, man. I'm on a roll,
Yeah,
baby.
you are on a roll. You got 2 out of 2 there. It's unbelievable. Of course, later on it became a worldwide phenomenon and so forth, and no one, really may have this. But this is a different look. This is the one that was an English version. It was published, 500 of them in England. So, I mean, I don't know if you have any relatives in England, if they ever bought this. Think about that. Now, you have Harry Potter. You have this book. It's worth $225,000. Are you selling it? If you get an offer?
Yeah.
I am too, in a minute. Because what significance does it have to you? Right.
I mean, I used to read my son the Harry Potter books when he was younger at bedtime, but that's the only connection I have.
Unless you're like an audiophile, they call it that, or whatever, a book collector, like if that's what you do, you collect books, and that would be the piece.
Sure, yeah, if you're into that, of course.
So to my holy grail, do you have a holy grail? I have a holy grail. If I ever find at the right price, and I have found it, and at the time I didn't have the money, right? I found it when I was in college, and it was like, I'll tell you what it is in a minute, but
I think I know what it is.
It was like $2,000 then.
Okay, I'm hot. I'm on a roll.
All right, let me set it up, and you can guess it. I won't tell you what I won't say.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
The reason why I didn't get it was out of control then, price-wise. For a college kid, $2,000 was too much. Then, like 10 years later, I saw it again. And I was working, but I was making like back in the day, maybe I forget, $30,000 a year, and the thing was like $10,000. I was like, I can't buy that now, and I still don't have it, and I don't think I ever will because the price keeps going up as my income goes up or down. So now the question is, what is my which is white elephant? What's my white elephant? What is the item that I need to get my hands on to complete a collection that I have, David Cohen?
Isaac Newton's manuscript. No, it is the first issue of The Avengers.
No. First issue of?
No.
No, you know it. You're just forgetting it. First issue of?
Wait. Okay, hold on. No, not The Avengers then.
Correct.
Fantastic Four?
Yes, you know it. First issue of the Fantastic Four. I do not have. I have every other one of the first session. Then they redid them. Then they divided them up. I don't go for that. With the original session from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Yes,
I have a question.
Yes.
How much is the rest of the Fantastic Four comics that you have as a bundle? How much are those
worth?
Yeah.
If I had to guess,
where I'm going is, are they worth the same price as the very first copy?
Interesting thought. They certainly are worth. They're worth much more than the one original, depending upon depending upon the condition. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. So maybe bundle them. If I get the price, sell them, and get number one. Wow, what a great idea!
If you have 10 and you're just missing the first one, maybe you can sell 8, 9, and 10. For the price of buying number one.
Yeah, that's very interesting. That's a really interesting thought. Wow. Because here's the thought. My original thought was, as a person that didn't have kids at the time collecting this, my son will read these with me. This will be the greatest thing in the world. My son is so careless. I do not see him turning these 1960s pages gingerly. So I don't see myself saying, Leo, go ahead. Because you could get them all online now, too. I forget the app, but there's an app that has all the old comics, and you can read them online.
You can read them. You just don't have to read the original.
Exactly. So now it's a really good point. What am I doing with them? They're in the closet. They're preserved. What am I I really at some point have to make a decision. And then the thing is, there's a new MCU where the Fantastic Four is going to come out within the next 3 or 4 years. They're going to be, I don't know if they're going to be as hot as the Avengers, but if they do those movies well, the value of these comics are going up. So I got to make a decision. It's a great point. Within the next couple of years, or am I going to do this?
I am so laser focused right now. What is happening?
I thought you were
not. It's my change in diet or something.
It's possible. I mean, you're not you don't seem to be a collectibles guy, like being into it, but you're attuned to it, like you're like a collectibles advisor. Maybe.
I feel like I could, if I really put my mind to it, in the next 10 or 15 minutes, I might be able to cure cancer. But I think that, but it's an interesting concept because if you did that, right? So let's say you just got rid of all of them, right? And all you had left now was the first issue, and you bought it for whatever it's going for now. What is it even going for?
Good question. Depends on the quality of it. The quality.
Okay, let's say you broke the bank. You got near mint condition, and you paid $250,000.
No, it's not that much. No, it's probably about $55,000-$60,000.
Okay, you paid $55,000 for it because that was what the rest of your comic books were worth. So you kind of did an exchange. Now you've got this one first edition, which I'm sure is probably the rarest of all of them, right?
Yep.
If you hand that down to your kids, and why does it have to be, why can't it be Angelica? Why does it have to be Leo? Right?
Correct, 100%.
So if one of them has it, I think that they're not going to open it and start reading it. They'll understand the value and also, more importantly, the importance to their dad. And I think that would be one thing that they could have and do what they want with it. And they would probably hold it and pass it down to their kids because they know it's now like a family heirloom.
Actually, a great idea.
That problem, you're welcome.
Thank you. It's actually a great idea. In fact, I could do, at some point in some world, you could buy 2 of them, so you don't even, each one of, depending upon the value of the collection, each of them could have a little bit of a lesser quality, but they both have it for the price. Well, there you go. You're not far off. It's very interesting. I have also collected, just so you know, lunch boxes. We don't have much time, but why did I do that? And radios. Back in the day, I've stopped all this 20 years ago. But why did I collect all these things? Just to cut to the chase. Lunch boxes. When I was a kid, I always wanted certain lunch boxes. I wanted that Star Trek lunchbox. Never got it. I wanted that Lost in Space lunchbox. Never got it. I wanted that 007 lunchbox. Never got it. Mom never listened to me when I wanted these things. So now I'm 35 years ago, and I have a few dollars. I go on eBay, this new thing that's amazing. These things come to life. There they are. I'm buying them. I'm in. I got a whole collection of lunchboxes because they're the ones that I never got a chance to have as a kid.
Perfect. Well, to me, that's like the perfect collectible right now.
Right? I mean,
because it became more valuable with the fact that you couldn't get it, you were sort of denied it at the time, and it brings back a lot of memories to you. Obviously, you love the shows that the lunchboxes were based on, and now you're, of a certain age and income level where you can fulfill your wishes. So that's great.
And I love it. I love it. I look at them every day. They're in my office. I get a kick out of it. I really do.
I would too. Yeah.
Collectibles can have some fun. I think what it does is just brings back a bit of memory of life gone by, and it's a solid thing that can connect you to that memory of being in school and trading your ham and cheese sandwich for the Snicker bars, at the lunch table, whatever. But there it is. So, okay, there's our show. I'm glad I was able to get that out because I did all that research and I wanted to sideswipe, not be overshadowed by the Hoffa story. So here we are.
Pinky.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, we'll be back next week to continue more things, entertainment, pop culture. Come on back. Everything old is new again. Please, let's keep in touch. Everything old is new again. What am I saying? Everything old is new again. Hello? Everything old is new again. .biz. Everything old is new again. .biz. Come on back next week.
A product of the American dream. See him fly. See him fly. No one lady, sex machine.